Hello, everyone. Hello. This is Faye, and I sell Medicare plans. This is a podcast where Medicare professionals, insurance professionals, and people who desire to have the type of life that we have come to hear how it's done, why we do it, what are the hacks that we use, what are the tips, what's the best way to get the best out of this life. Welcome, everyone. My audience today are some fantastic women in insurance again. This is our second podcast of Women in Insurance, and I am so pleased to have with me the Medicare Wonder Woman, Rebecca Davis, Jean Ann Conway, Malia Rogers, Anna St. Louis, and of course, the one and only Galen Hendricks. And when you look in where Galen is today, you will understand why it's so important to do this business and do it right, because she's traveling and she's living the life. Thank you, ladies, for all joining me today. I usually start, and I'm sorry, Rebecca, you're the one at the top of the screen. I start at the top and just work my way around. So if there's some way that you guys can make your pictures move around so that you're where you want to be, that's great. But I'm starting with Rebecca. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. I see that you have been busy doing AHIP and certifications. Have you gotten them all done?
Well, I've gotten everything done that's out. There's still a few that haven't dropped yet, so I'm waiting for those. Or at least I think I've got them.
Now, what is it that you typically do for your agents to encourage them? I know one of the things is to get it done yourself first, but then how do you motivate them and encourage them to get it done?
Well, I've tried different things over the years. This particular year, I am hosting a giant AHIP kickoff party at the end of the month for my team, for everybody to come to. It's a giant pool party at the ranch where it's a 160-acre ranch where they can go exploring on, ride a horse, swim. And I'm looking at bringing in the cowboy chef Newton from the TV Master Chef show in to cook.
Oh, wow.
So hopefully that'll drive some motivation this year. In the past, I've offered, to pay for AHIP if they get it done by a certain time frame, extra marketing dollars, things like that. Certain agents are just good about it and other agents aren't. And I struggle every year trying to figure out how to get the ones that aren't up to par with everybody else. So.
Well, for me personally, it's always been when I see the first notice, I don't jump on it. I'm not one of those that I'm going to do it right then and there. But then I will plan a day or two where that's all that I'm going to do. And then I just knock them all out at one time. So I don't procrastinate, but I do set a date. Yeah. And I try to make that as early in July.
I personally can't do them all like that. I like to do one a day as they come out. That way it's not just this overwhelming, nightmare.
Yeah, that's good. But I've done it that way for a long time. So, and I'm sure that I'm not doing as many as you are. So that makes a difference as well. Anybody else finish their AHIP and their certs already?
I'm sorry?
I was asking if anyone else has completed AHIP and their certs.
I haven't. Normally typically wait till the last minute and procrastinate. But what I'm seeing this year is a lot of agents have posted that they've taken it and that it's the easiest AHIP. So I'm kind of feeling encouraged, and maybe this is the year that I make.
Well, go for it. Get it done and get it out of the way. Let me ask you, are you running an agency with other agents, or are you independent?
I'm
working
independent.
alone?
I'm independent, but working on an agency.
Okay, then because you're going to have other people who will be following what you do as a leader, it will be important for you to say, I've done mine, and now, you can encourage them and help them, and you may be able to even answer some questions that they find difficult.
That's a very good point.
Yeah. I mean, there have been times when agents have waited until the last minute and the last day before, as a captive manager, the last day before the deadline for them to do it, I've had 3 or 4 on the phone with me because now they've got to rush to do it and they don't want to miss or use up an opportunity. So that can happen and that can be stressful. So you don't want to get in that position. Everybody else pretty good with AHIP and certifications? Does anybody have any new tips to give us about getting those things done this year? Okay, so we are going to move away from that topic. We are going to move right into work-life balance. Malia asked she was just wondering how we all did it. And my response was, are you serious? Do you really try to do that? But somehow we get it all done. But then for me, it's probably different from others because I don't have small children at home anymore. But I can remember when I did work and I did have children at home. And so and then at that time, we weren't in a pandemic either. So all of those things play a role. I'm going to let some of the others who have more than 2 people in their household start to answer that question and help with what things can we do to balance life with work and building an agency, growing a business, bringing in income yourself, and yet keep your family life healthy and happy. Anyone who wants to start, go for it.
Well, Faye, this is Galen. I don't have more than 2 people, thank goodness, in my home anymore. But my grandchildren do live next door. So as most of you that follow me on Facebook know, I'm with them as often as I can be. I failed miserably at the family life balance thing when I first started, Malia, because I was all about getting this career on the right path. I was competing with a lot of men in the industry. So fortunately, I had a husband at home that had been really big in his career for a while, and he's 10 and a half years older than me. So when I got the opportunity to go travel and build, he encouraged me to do so, and I did that. I tell you, in the last 15 years of my life, when I started out on my own, I started this storefront business in 2003, and 2001 was when I formed the company, knowing I was going to go out on my own in 2003 or 2004. What I decided was there was 2 things. I was going to run my business with the golden rule. Because, if you watch a lot of Facebook right now, there's a lot of people that need some humility. There's a lot of arrogance running them up. There's a lot of people out there telling you that they run all this business. And what I would warn all the women that are listening to this podcast and even my fellow colleagues, you know what? On Facebook, you're never going to hear about the disasters.
Right.
I probably, and Brad Hannon always says, your real life. You even put your disasters, you put your problems, you put your struggles out there. And I do, because I've learned. I wanted to be that end-all, be-all career woman. And what I finally realized in just the last couple of months is that my son, who's in the business, he let me know that while I was at all of his things, I worked a ton more than any of his friends' mothers. And so that kind of, is what I started doing back when I started this in 2003. At that time I would have been 40 years old. And I just really wanted to have fun. And if I couldn't have fun doing it, then I wasn't going to do it. Unfortunately for me, I had lots of offers when I left the agency I was at, but I knew I wanted to build something. But I also knew that I wanted to be home with my son. I wanted to be home with my husband. I wanted to do things. And, like this week, I know Faye alluded to it. I was checking it out for, which, by the way, I didn't have a COVID test to get into this country, but I went and had one done, and I am negative, which is awesome, Rebecca. But starting, we are going to require a COVID test. I just saw my internet connection's unstable, but I am at the beach. And that's what I would encourage you all to do. Take time for your families. We're bringing our team of employees and agents here, people that have excelled and done above average. They will be joining me tomorrow. We've done this now. This is our 5th trip. And I wanted something that, when you have an agency, we have brokers and we have direct consumer agents. But I wanted to have something where my direct consumer agents felt connected and didn't feel the need to run away. Most of the people that we have lost in our direct consumer are agents who didn't really want to work hard. They didn't want to stick around. They didn't want to work the hours. And some of them have failed going out on their own. Some of them have succeeded. But what we have found is that when those people go out on their own, we offer them an opportunity to go out on their own so that they're not struggling. One of the things that I think is important on the life and the balance is, what do you want? What do you want out of this? And I see Rebecca take vacations, and I love that about her. I just, have watched Anna have a great birthday party. And I think that's really kick butt cool. And I hope that's allowed to say on the podcast, because
Yes.
the women that I was growing up with, they didn't have that opportunity. If we didn't get ourselves off, we got shoved to the side. So I'll just say, I think that's a really, really important question to ask. Happy anniversary, by the way, Malia. And, just great question, and just enjoy this time. I mean, I am so fortunate because when I started out in this business, I was the youngest, which I'm not anymore. And I was the only female for the most part. And thank God I'm not anymore. And it's just so nice to be able to have these conversations. And Faye, I just want to tip my hat to you. There's all kinds of things I want to do women conferences and women retreats. And I've got all kinds of goals that you guys are probably getting ready to be invited to. But, I think that is a great question. Rebecca, I love the fact that you're doing a retreat with your agents. Getting to know people personally is really a key part of this. I had some people try to start some wrong crap about me last year, just to be blunt. But I had an agent that had worked for me for almost 20 years. And the wrong people tried to do that to him. And he asked them for a release on all of the contracts he had with that FMO. And he brought them all to me. He's worked with me for years. So, I think the thing that women bring to this is we bring comfort to people. We also bring, I think, that element of mothering. Even though a lot of us may be mothers, may not be mothers that are listening to this call, for the most part, we're nurturers. And I think people are attracted to that these days. I've had so many private messages in the last weekend going, I'm watching all this stuff out on Facebook, and I'm just curious, do you buy it? And a lot of it is guys that are private messaging me. And I'm like, no, I don't buy it for a minute. This business is hard, but it's also incredibly rewarding. And so I'm just going to encourage all of you, just practice humility. When somebody's trying to badmouth you, just smile at them and keep on moving. And know, you know what? There is so much room for all of us in this industry. It doesn't really matter what somebody says or does. It's how you feel and how your agents respect and feel about you. So I kind of off the beaten path. I wanted to say that because I think it's really important. Because I can look at the call and tell who's younger than me. And, you guys have picked the right business. I mean, it's an amazing business. It's very rewarding. And I can't imagine doing anything else. So that's
okay. Thank you so much. Now, life balance, Malia, for some of us, it's going to be different because we may or may not have children at home. But the main thing is, as Galen said, you gotta prioritize what you want and how you want to have it. And it always helps. And I have to agree, my husband was so supportive of what I wanted to do. When I was promoted to manager and I was going to work in Texas, we lived in Orlando, and I said to him, will you come with me to Texas? And he said, do they have golf courses? And I said, yes. So that was all it took for him. Although he didn't come with me right away, he drove me to Texas, and I had to be there in such a quick time. I packed my clothes, packed my bag, and left the bag with all my dress shoes in the room. Left them at home. So when we got to Irving, Texas, I had to go find a shoe store, buy a pair of shoes because I had to be at the office the next morning. My husband found an apartment while I was doing business. He put me in the apartment, ordered a bed and a TV for me and Wi-Fi so that I could work, and he drove back to Florida. So, but it was good because when you're starting something new and it's a challenge and you have to give other people who are depending on you, you need to devote the time. So I think God prepared that way. He was in Florida. We communicated every day, but I did not need to actually be with him because he was in another state. So that gave me the time to learn everything that I needed to know to actually manage well where I was in Texas. And then, eventually the company moved all of our stuff to Texas, but it all works out somehow as long as you know what you want to do and you're respectful of your husband and your children and your family and your agents. It somehow all works out. Now, would you agree, Jean Ann, because you have children? I know you have small children. How does that work for you?
Oh, it's trial and error. So it's Janine.
Janine.
Yeah.
Thank you. I thought for some reason I didn't feel comfortable that I was saying it correctly. Thank you.
No, you're fine. I've been called worse. It's okay. Yeah, so a little bit about my backstory is I'm a single mom of 2 small children. I've been a single mom since conception with both of them. So it's a one household income. My daughter just turned 5 and my son will be 3 in August. I started doing PNC when my daughter was 1, and I moved over, well, I still do PNC, but started doing Medicare last open enrollment. So this will be my second open enrollment. Just really excited to be with you guys on this call. I feel like I don't deserve to be with such wonderful, successful women. So I'm just really in awe that I'm even here. But Malia and I have definitely had some side conversations about work-life balance, and my, I guess the biggest thing that helped me, especially during open enrollment, was allowing people to help you, allowing people to pick your kids up from daycare, allowing, just accepting that help, which I hadn't done before. The other thing is, after open enrollment was done, I shut my office down. So between the 15th and the 1st of the year, it was family time only. I did a few things that I needed to do on the P&C side, but other than that, I didn't work at all. So that made me feel better about the long hours that I had been spending, without them. The other thing is getting help. I just actually hired a personal assistant. So she's with the kids right now. My son has a rash thing going on, so he didn't go to daycare. But, having somebody to help you, and it's okay to pay them to answer an email for you or pick up your kitchen. She does 50% domestic and 50% work stuff. So she's literally doing whatever I need at that time. Today it's taking care of the kids, making them lunch, putting them down for a nap. So that to me has been extremely beneficial in having that life-work balance. So I hope that helps.
Those are great tips. I have a follow-up question. So many of the women that are watching this, we're all in different stages. Some of us have, like I have one assistant. Some of us have multiple employees. Some of us may have no employees. At what point, and Galen, you mentioned having, a big team and stuff. At what point do you decide it's time to add another employee?
Well, that was hard for me in the beginning because I had been such a multitasker, but I started running the numbers and I was like, oh my goodness, I can bring on an employee for this and I can go make this. So it was basically just doing the math. One of the things that I had to convince one of my business partners about, because he was kind of a tightwad when we started. And I was like, dude, I'm hiring this person and you are paying 50% of it because I'm not going to do that. And so you start realizing early on how easy it is to bring employees in. We are in an environment, though, that I'll tell you where everybody was thinking, oh, it's going to be the easiest time during this pandemic to get employees to come work for you. But you've got to remember, if you're not going to pay them over $50,000 and they got laid off, they're making $50,000 sitting at home doing jack crap nothing. And I put it in that term because I hope there's people out there listening that realize that's a short-term fix. That is not getting you on the road to success. Yes, I know you want to stay home with your babies. I did too. But they're only with you for 18 years. And then you look back and you were like me, I struggled with fertility, so I have one. And I look back now and I'm like, I'm so glad I did what I did because he went off, he got married, he's got 2 kids. If I'd have just focused on that and not on my career, I would have been sitting there going, well, what do I do now? So if anybody's out there listening and thinking you're doing what's right for your children by staying home and drawing on him, I can't judge every situation, but I can tell you this, you got to have a life too. And those kids are watching you. And if you've got young daughters, you are there. I did not realize this until a text from my son about 2 weeks ago, and I'll try not to get emotional, but I sent him this long text and I said, hey, did you get my text? He said, I really didn't know how to respond to it. He goes, I just want you to know how proud I am of you and always have been. And so when you think you've got that guilty stuff going on, no, what you're doing is you're showing them that you would do anything for them. And my son used to tell me the whole time growing up, my friends want to live with us. They want you to be their mom because their moms were around them 24/7. And when they got home from school, they were ready to go out with the other girls and have happy hour and all that. And when I was home, it was about my kid. And I invested all that time in my kid. I didn't miss baseball games. I didn't miss football games. I was president of the Booster Club. And yeah, I was putting in 70, 80 hours a week, y'all. I was, no lie. But I really had it in my mind I could sleep later. And I do, except this morning coming here. But, you know, I would just encourage you to say to all the women in your circles, come join the fun. You know, I think, Malia, one of the things that I love about when you post, you're just such an encourager. And I think one of the things that you really got going for you is you're going to build a good team just by that encouragement. What I have found is that people come to work with you when they like your leadership style. And I've been very blessed. You know, I've got employees that have worked with me now since 1987. And, you know, that sounds like an eternity, and it is. But that just goes to show that, you know, you have a good leadership style. And when I left the last agency I was with, you know, I had 10 men call me within 6 months of leaving there, and they wanted to work with me. So for me, it's not really about a man-woman thing in this business. It's about leadership style. And, you know, building a team is not hard, but you don't want to bring in 20 at one time. Slow is the way to go. I've told every employee that works for me, there's a reason the tortoise won the race. Slow and steady. Make sure you've got the income for it. Don't overload yourself. I always tell my operations staff, if we ever have to lay off an employee, it's something we've done wrong. If we fire somebody, then it's something they did wrong. But if we have to lay people off, it's something we did wrong. And so I really try to guard against that. So slow and steady. That's the best advice I can give on that.
So Anna, you have a young family, I know. So how do you balance? And you've had some recent struggles with an accident that you had that you're currently recovering from. So how is your work-life balance right now?
So hello everyone, I'm Anna San Luis, mother of 4. So I have 3 teenagers at home. But I was a single mom for over 15 years, and 100% agree with Janine.
Galen?
There you go. And yeah, you have to accept help. And like Galen says, I mean, like, yes, we adore our kids and we want the best for them, but at the same time, it's not sacrificing them. I have talked to a couple of moms and everything. I'm like, oh my God, but I don't know what my kids are gonna do, what I'm not there, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, think about the future. I mean, I'm so happy that we have 2 big trips in the year. So one big trip is the whole family and another big trip is just my husband and I. And because I work hard, and yes, some weeks I'm gonna be more active than other ones. But to me, the big support has been my team. I started on my own about a year and a half. I've been in the industry for about 7 years. I don't do Medicare. I may be gonna pick some brains here and maybe get into it. But I've been in the financial side and the life insurance side. And I found an opportunity where I can help a lot of people, that I can grow my team. And with the technology as well, has become easier to make that balance. So I'm 100% agree with Galen, I'm sorry. I don't want to
Galen.
mispronounce it. Galen, okay, thank you. And about the, don't feel guilty because you are building up yourself. You are building up a legacy. You are building up a strong base for your kids. I'm not planning to leave anything to them. They have to work. But what I'm saying is, like, in case they fall, in case they need a strong base, I have it. And to build a strong foundation requires time and requires preparation. And again, yes, you have to prioritize, but I mean, you just have to manage in a good way your time. So like Faye say, a month ago, I had like a small accident, nothing major. I was very skiing, and I shredded my meniscus, so I had surgery. So I've been from at home, but at the same time, I'm taking advantage of the time to um, help my team grow. So a lot of team leaders that I have been growing as themselves, and of course, they have been producing and et cetera, that allows me to have an income and allows me to have like that stability and like getting recover. Um, but I mean, being independent is, I think, a blessing, but at the same time, it's outrageous. It's not for everybody. Um, but I think it's easier when you actually are independent to have a family balance time than when you are a 9 to 5 employee. Or at least from my point, from my personal experience, because pretending it's 30 minutes like commute. So you have to leave your house at 8:30. So you have to just organize your family that from 8:30 until, and again, like you start at 9 and 9 to 5 and you get out, you never get out at 5, you get out at 5:15, 5:30, you're at home at 6. If you put exactly the same time and the same organization as an independent, you can have a better results and you can still like driven yourself to succeed. But the point is like when you're independent, oh, I can get up at 10 and then I can go get my nails done and then I can get my hair done. And you start like procrastinating in a lot of things. And they're like, oh my God, this is not working. So it's just like I have the mindset. Like, again, like to me, it's like I just hire Anderson Lewis. And I'm gonna pay Anderson Lewis this amount of money for doing this and this and this, 8 to 5, and if request to work until 6, 7, 8, then she has to organize her time, and I'm gonna pay her extra time. So I try to like see myself from the outside, and like I'm my boss. So and with that structure has helped me a lot. Sometimes I fire myself, but I rehire myself. um, but but it's just discipline. It's just discipline to literally manage your time. Uh, be a little bit selfish. Think about yourself too, and accept help. There's nothing wrong with people helping you out. I mean, you're not a bad mother because somebody's helping you with them. Or you are an excellent mother because you're building a foundation and a base for them. So
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I have
I
weeks.
do.
I have weeks. I'm sorry that my husband is like, we need you at home. Yeah, that is not every week, but
Yeah, we all
I
do.
wanna-
We all do. And then there are times when I sort of feel guilty if I'm at my desk and at my computer and my husband is home and he has free time, but I'm so happy he's a golfer. So he can golf. But I wanted to add one thing to the question that Malia, that you asked, the add-on piece. One thing I think that is important is to have, once you set your goals, the good thing about our being independent and being our own bosses is we can then work our schedules around what needs to be done. That's how I get things done. My schedule incorporates what I need to do for home, what I need to do away from home, or what I need to do for the agents, what I need to do for the business, what I need to do for everybody. So I kind of just incorporate everything into my schedule, but I make sure that I have time for my husband, time when we're together, time that we're going to spend together, and that's when I'm not taking phone calls and I'm not checking messages and that kind of stuff. Sunday is a great day for us because I go to church on Sunday. I do after, and Sunday probably is my day to cook. My husband is a great cook, and he does very well, and I hate to cook. But I do it on Sunday because that's the day I'm not working. So I will make you a good meal on Sunday and with dessert, and he's satisfied. So you kind of figure out those things that need to be done for the family side of it, and you just incorporate them in. And do not ever be afraid, as all of these ladies have said to you, to ask for help. Find out also what your strengths are. I know my strength is in building a team and selling. My strengths don't always mean that I'm going to go door to door. That is not me. That's not me. So, knowing where my strength is, I realized, to answer your question about when to get help for the business, I realized that if I paid someone to set my appointments, I could run more appointments. I could do more appointments virtually. I could make more money, and it was nothing, it was like a little drop of what I would make to pay that person to set those appointments. So when you realize that there is something that you can do better with your time, and by paying someone else to do that task, and you have to pick the right person, because they got to enjoy dialing and getting hung up on and all of that. But you can bonus them too, because if you sell it, then you can give them an additional piece of money, and they're happy, and that will motivate them to keep doing it. So I realized that if I am great at selling, I am great at just relationships with people, that's what I need to be doing. And I can do that better if I have someone else setting my appointment. So in your business, you're going to find when you get to those points where someone else can do the admin tasks or the tasks leading up to the close, that's when you start to make that decision, I think. Would you all agree?
Yeah, I was gonna say that's a really good point. And what Galen said about doing the math, that I remember the first time I decided to hire an assistant, in my mind, I was justifying, okay, I'm willing to take a pay cut so that I can have more time with my family, and I was prepared to do that. And then I realized at the end of the year that actually she freed up so much time that my income was doubled. And so I didn't take a pay cut, because now I'm able to spend time doing the things that actually bring in money. And actually, this is just a topic that has been on my mind for a very long time. So I really appreciate all your advice and encouragement. I did ask this to a friend yesterday, and she did share something with me that I wanted to share with you ladies. There's a book called Miracle Morning. I don't know if you've ever heard of it, but I'm gonna look it up, by Hal Elrod, and it's about self-care. And they use this acronym SAVERS, the SAVERS. And what he's saying is to get up early each morning, even if it's like 15, 20 minutes, and do the SAVERS. So S stands for silence, A is for affirmation, V is visualize, like positive things, E is to exercise, R is to read, and S is to scribe, like, journal and stuff like that. I'm going to start doing that.
Malia, I'm so glad you brought that up. I actually bought that book from my mom a while ago, and then she turned around and she found that they have a sales version of it. So she bought me the sales, it's Miracle Morning for Salespeople. So if you haven't already looked at that one, I would suggest checking it out. I want to say one last thing. Also, since I have the yellow square around me, but we were talking about showing our kids that we're hard workers, and I will ask my kids almost daily, what do you want to be when you grow up? And we were in the car the other day and I'm asking my kids, what do you want to be when you grow up? And my daughter goes, I want to be an owner. And
Okay.
that just really, because that's all she knows that I do. She knows I own a business. You can't really explain insurance to a 4 or 5-year-old, but it was the first time where I had that confirmation that she's seeing what I'm doing and that she is taking it all in, and that I'm just being a good example for her, and that, she still wants to be me when she grows up. But so when it's a simple word, but when she said, I want to be an owner, I knew exactly what she had meant. And it just reiterated that I'm doing the right thing and showing her the right path to becoming, a responsible adult like I am.
Very good. That had to be rewarding for you to hear that.
That's
Yes.
so incredible.
Yeah.
That's
You know,
$1 million right there. I mean,
mhm.
Everybody can make money, but you can't always get back those years. I have a good friend in the business by the name of Bobby Bache. A lot of you guys have seen him on Medicare Monsters or whatever groups he's in right now. But he always goes, I'm going to spend time with my kids because I can go make money anytime I need to. He goes, making money is not hard. Being a good dad is hard. And so I think that's awesome. That's so great.
I also think we're in a unique position as far as being mothers and, working and being able to set our own schedule, just like with the whole COVID thing. I have he was 7 during it, he's 8 now. But, they locked down schools and sent him home. If I had worked a 9-to-5 job, I would have had to quit my job, or my kid would have not have had school. Or we'd be doing school at midnight instead of me working at midnight. But,
for me though, you would be home with your kid.
Yeah.
Because this week when COVID went on the rise last week, I sent all my team home. The thing is right now, everybody's got to feel safe or they're not going to be productive. You can make them come to the office, but if they feel insecure or scared, when we got here and Dan was like, we didn't have to get a COVID test. I was like, but you know what? Every employee in our company right now feels safer because they did. They know they don't have it, and now they're working at home because I'm not going to have them go back in the office until Tarrant County goes down a little bit because, we're the new Florida. But I do have a question for our fearless interviewer. Rebecca, I don't know if you thought about this, but I have a question for her. How did we lose you in the great state of Texas? What made you go running back to Florida? Were we not good you here?
It's surprising that you asked that question, but when I went to Texas, first of all, one of my nieces says, why did you and Uncle Norris move to Texas? And I said, I just knew in the company where I was that it was time to either move up or move out.
Yeah.
So I went the move up route. But then we went to Texas and we got most of the dreams that we had. We wanted a house on a golf course. We had that. We lived the life. Why we moved back to Florida, it was a mistake. It was definitely a mistake.
I shouldn't be clapping, but I love the great state of Texas. As a matter of fact, if we ever get past COVID, I want to have a boot, scoot, and boogie conference because I'm a stock.
I have never been in Texas.
And I would love to have everybody as my guest at Billy Bob's.
Well, I would love to come. We enjoyed Billy Bob's. We lived actually in Fort Worth, so I know about Billy Bob's. And I did not want to buy cowboy boots. My husband insisted. And one day he just took me down to that place on, I can't think of the street now, but what is it?
Was it Laddie's?
Yes. Yes. And I got them and they're just in the box. So, but my husband and I were talking about that the other day. We said, why did we rush to leave Texas? We just felt like because we were born in Florida, we were supposed to be in Florida, but that may not be true because we really did enjoy Texas.
And we love them. But yeah, between Rebecca and I, we could have y'all at my ranch and at Rebecca's, and then we could go into Billy Bob's and we could just hang out.
Well, ladies, it has been such a pleasure. Every time I do Women in Insurance, the podcast is one of the longer episodes. And that's because, audience, that women actually have a lot to say about getting things done. And we have our own special ways of getting those things done. So thank you so much, ladies, for your time and your questions and your answers, your engagement and your comments. These are the Women in Insurance.